I left the city, I've been browsing, treading water that they drowning. My head on a swivel, yeah. It's only really my surroundings.
And welcome to episode 29 of the Smash Accept podcast. Mini episode here. What we're doing is we're kind of giving you a preview of what we're going to be doing for our Patreon when it kicks off here. Another short episode for your midweek. And the exercise for today is we're going to take the 2019, the 2020, and the 2021 rookie class of wide receivers, and we're going to break them down, and we're going to do a rookie mock draft with hosts as usual, my man John, my man Mung, and our guest, the Pharaoh of Fantasy himself, Izzy Alcafaz. So you guys ready to jump in and just have a little bit of fun?
Let's do it.
Let's roll.
All right. So before we start, hopefully this draft has some twists and turns. My day started out with a twist and turn of running over a deer. So let's try to make this one, it's been a kind of an interesting day, ups and downs, but I'm excited to get this draft going. I was super excited to, have our last episode 28, talk about the wide receiver landscape that's changed so much. And a lot of these are these 2019, 2020 and rookies where they were with wide receivers. Now what we want to see is what these 2021s look like. So we had a little bit of a, talk backstage. Izzy's going to start us out with a 101 of all wide receivers from these three classes. And then we're going to kick over to Mung, John, and then myself.
All right, sweet. We touched a little bit about this guy. Justin Jefferson's got to be the pick. He's on pace. If you take his 14 games that he started, he averaged 100 yards a game to 1,600-yard receiver at age 21. It's hard to pass on him here. I think you can make a case for another guy, A.J. Brown, but I'll go Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the pick there. Mung, who are you going with in the second spot?
A.J. Brown is the easy pick here. We've seen it from him for 2 years in a row now, and that's with Tennessee really going with a run-heavy scheme. If they do start to pass more, we've seen that Tannehill's been incredibly efficient with his passing, and I think the sky is still the limit for A.J. Brown. We may not have yet seen his full potential just yet, and we just found out today that he was playing 2020 with injuries. He's getting surgery on both knees, but he somehow gutted it out, was still a wide receiver too. So A.J. Brown's the pick for me.
All right, we're all the way up to 103 already. Who are you taking here? Don't take my guy, John. It's been a rough day.
103. I'm sorry I have to do this to you, Mike, but I'm going to smash on DK. I like being positioned here as 3 because actually across these 3 classes, I would have a tier break here after these 3 guys. Yep. I do actually agree with those first 2 picks, but DK is still 23, still perhaps the best big play, deep threat in the league, and is still sharpening his game. He's going to continue to beat just about every DB in the league. I'm kind of monitoring the situation. They said they want to run a little bit more there, but he's going to continue to be a big part of that offense. So I love getting DK here.
At the 4 spot, I'm going to have to go with the guy that I'm trying to pick up everywhere. The Justin Jefferson hype is fantastic. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb, when Dak Prescott was playing, CeeDee Lamb was the wide receiver 11, and we're talking about right out the gate, weeks 1 through 5. And, he was doing it, mixing in targets there, but he just looked the part of an absolute alpha wide receiver. I love Amari Cooper. He has his ups and downs. Gallup's a nice player. But CeeDee Lamb, if you extrapolate what he did over those first couple games, and I know it's a small sample size, but we're looking at potentially 1,300-yard season as a rookie. And that's what Jefferson did. I think CeeDee Lamb has that same talent. He was my wide receiver 1 coming into this class, and I'm not moving off that at all. I'm buying if anybody's selling, and I find, like you said, that there's that tier break there, and I feel like he has that talent level to get into that next tier. And I'm gonna break the seal here a little bit, and I'm actually gonna put Ja'Marr Chase at my 5. And I know that's gonna blow some people's mind there. And I saw Izzy's reaction, and we talked about that in the last podcast before the landing spot. And I know it might be a little bit hot take-ish at this point, but before we know his landing spot, what we've seen from him in college, he looks like another alpha type wide receiver. I'm excited for what he does in the league. And ultimately, there was a lot of guys there to choose from, a lot of guys who flashed as a rookies, guys who had, solid. Now that I'm like rethinking this, almost there's a guy from 2019 I wanted to go with there, but I'm all in on Ja'Marr Chase. I can't change my pick. Go back to you, John.
All right. Did you guys just see that though? That's what we call rookie fever, and Mike has just caught it. But actually, I respect it. In non-super flex, I think you consider Ja'Marr Chase at 101 in one QB rookie drafts. And again, if you kind of look at the stats and you look at some of the film, he did look about as good or better than Justin Jefferson in the same offense. And so I think we're going to hear a lot about that in the offseason. For me here, I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. Really excited about it. That might have been your guy there, Mike.
But, that was my guy. And I think I was referencing back to having Matt Hicks on 2 weeks ago, where he was really hyping him up and how much he was saying, where in the last 5 draft classes, he had Lamb as the top prospect and CeeDee Lamb, and then Ja'Marr Chase was that second one. So I was trying to tie those guys together. I'm going to blame that on Matt Hicks.
And remember what's happening with F1 here is he's very, very likely to get a much, much better QB, much better overall situation there. And it could still – so, I mean, the offense is going to be moving the ball a lot better, potentially get more targets overall, more red zone targets, big plays. So very excited to get him here.
Yeah, the tricky part there, right, is like I was debating between those, and we're talking about if you're in a 1-quarterback league, I mean, would you want the 101 or Terry McLaurin? What has more value on the calculator right now? Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. The 101 in 1-quarterback league, Terry McLaurin is higher.
Okay. Do you have in Superflex with the Trevor Lawrence hype? I mean, I just did a startup. He went 106.
Yeah.
The hype is unreal. I mean, what kind of value are we looking at on the calculator right now?
For the 101 I can tell you actually. Let's see. I believe it's in we have a startup calculator, so I can just put it in.
Yeah, Izzy, I actually have it pulled up. I think you guys have the 101 in Superflex ranked or rated as 45.8 in value. Mm-hmm. And then just to give some background here, I actually pulled up some wide receivers we talked about from the last episode. Justin Jefferson, 45.4, so just behind Lawrence. Tyreek Hill, 45.8, so exactly equal to Lawrence. And then Adams, we have at 46.1, slightly ahead. DK Metcalf, 45.2, so just slightly behind. And A.J. Brown, 45.3 in that same area.
Yeah, that's about right. I think if he's going, I think he's in Superflex leagues, he's going to go in the first round in just about every single league, where I don't think the receivers are as guaranteed to go in the first round in every single league.
Yeah, Superflex has been really controlled by quarterbacks and the ones that I've been seeing. Sorry on that little tangent there, but let's keep going here, Mung. We just had Terry McLaurin go. Where's your next pick?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This mock draft has kind of gone exactly how my rankings are right now, which is Jefferson, Brown, Metcalf, Lamb, Chase, McLaurin. And the next guy for me is T. Higgins. He had a slow start to the year, but we saw him really get fired up with Joe Burrow as that offense got better and more integrated. And then, of course, they lost Burrow before, they could really get on the same page. And we saw his stats really kind of flounder. And for that reason, I still think that Higgins is undervalued right now by a lot of people. But he's right up there in that tier with McLaurin for me.
Love it. Izzy, you get a double tap here.
All right. I think this is relatively easy. I don't think I'm missing anybody that you guys haven't picked. My two would be Deontay Johnson and Brandon Ayuk. And I feel really good about both those guys. So I'm happy with I'm glad I didn't have to pick one over the other. So I'll take them both.
Yeah, I thought for sure you were taking Deontay there. We're hearing mixed between Brandon Ayuk, as far as with Kittle coming back and losing some targets. What we saw from him as a rookie, though, was fantastic.
Yeah, and I feel like that offense, it has room to grow into more of a passing offense. I mean, they're so run heavy and they're just so gimmicky and all of that. I can see, and I think a lot of it has to do with they haven't really had that great of a quarterback. I've never been a Jimmy Garoppolo believer. I was on the Nick Mullins ain't any worse than Jimmy Garoppolo bandwagon. And honestly, maybe Jimmy is better than Nick Mullins, but it's marginal. Like, so I feel like if they ever get a quarterback, that could be a really nice offense. I don't see Deebo Samuel being the wide receiver one there. So I think it's the Ayuk and Kittle show moving forward. And I think there's enough for both of them to eat in that offense. And I'm a really big fan of Ayuk's talent. He was actually, I had predicted that he even win in that offense. I had said that he would be the wide receiver one out of the rookies from a fantasy football points perspective. And I think in a points per game, I believe he was second behind Justin Jefferson. So I'm a big fan of his talent.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that down. It's been a lot of questions on Brandon Ayuk lately, you know what I mean? And I find like the community's pretty torn on as far as if they're believing it's going to excel or he's going to stay in that same area. So I appreciate that. Mung.
Yeah, and like Higgins, this next guy that I'm taking here is someone who we saw flashes of in 2020, but really didn't get to see him get a ton of play time and put together a full season, and that's Michael Pittman. We've forgotten about him in large part because Indianapolis was quite run heavy at times, and they used guys like T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal and their tight ends a lot. But T.Y. Hilton's a pending free agent. They really don't have anyone else out there. The quarterback situation is in flux going into next season, but I think Pittman can become that clear number one receiver for the Colts.
Go ahead, John. Take my guy.
There's an emergency at Mung's house, huh?
Well, I was going to say, like, sound the alarms because I can't believe I just stole Jerry Jeudy here.
I knew you were doing it.
Yeah. I really still believe in Jeudy. He's, in my opinion, he's made for the NFL. His route running. I think that there's a lot more that we're going to see out of the Denver offense. Hopefully they have some stuff to figure out. I think even Locke right now, they're even talking about, do they kind of move on from him? We saw what he could do with that. I believe it was like a 92-yard touchdown that he had there in towards down the stretch. And so he actually does have the big playability too. I think he's has a really bright future. So that, yeah, definitely going with him there.
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to look at value here. And
So so we've gone through 12, right? Is that 12?
Yep.
So who are the 12? Can we rattle them off again just so we're on the same page?
Yeah, we had with the 1, we had Jefferson, 2 was Brown, 3 was Metcalf, 4 Lamb, 5 Chase. Then McLaurin was 6. Mung, who'd you have at 7?
It's Higgins at 7.
Higgins at 8. Then Deontay Johnson and Ayuk 8 and 9. And then we had Pittman. And then this would be, at 11 was Jeudy. And at 12, I'm actually going to continue with the rookie fever just because I know right now this guy's going in the 105. The 105 is more valuable than any of the other wide receivers in this current spot. So I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. There's obviously going to be some worries about the late breakout age, the smaller frame, but he's definitely going to be a first-round wide receiver in the NFL draft. And in the right situation, I think he could be, a nice steal. And then the guy who I did not get in any of my drafts, and a guy that I really have come around on is Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool had a fantastic rookie season, over 60 receptions, 800 yards. A lot of the stuff that, we're talking about Juju's leaving there for a lot of the reasons why Izzy said Deontay Johnson's been getting the targets. Chase Claypool has a serious chance for an uptick in targets as well. And what he did, I know, a lot of people don't believe in the efficiency of what he did, but I think he could have a nice sophomore season as well. So we'll move to 202 while everybody do one more here.
Okay. All right. At this point, look, I got to jump into the rookie fever too. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle right here out of Bama. I can't let you take all the rookies here, Mike. I really love watching Waddle. It's too bad that we couldn't have watched him have a full healthy season. I think by the time that the draft rolls around, I'm not worried about the injury. I think that he's possibly being undervalued because of just not seeing him, recency bias, and the injury. He's going to get past that. We're going to watch this kid run like close to like a 4.3. I guess we may not get a pro day, but that is what this guy is capable of doing. He can hit the big play. He can run the routes, and he is just lightning in a bottle. That guy, he can juke people out of their shoes. So I actually kind of like adding him here.
Yeah, I think out of the two Alabama wide receivers, I mean, he was the guy that was going to be, projected as a higher ceiling going into the season. And I feel like in rookie draft, Smith's going to be taken earlier, but Waddle could be a much better value a little bit later. Mung?
Yeah, and I think this will be another debate all off season is Rashad Bateman versus Jalen Waddle. And for me, I love Bateman. We've seen that he can catch pretty much anything that comes his way. He kind of reminds me of kind of a faster, shiftier Jarvis Landry. And I think Jarvis Landry is already a very good wide receiver. So Bateman, for me, is an excellent prospect who has a ton of potential in the NFL.
Oh, I was hoping you went with Rager there, Mung. You were holding that Rager.
He's still up there for me, but
all year long, and that's why I'm more of a Travis Fulgham guy. No, they harass me about that every week, because I was on the Fulgham Forever bandwagon there for that 4-week stretch. Izzy, take us home.
Yeah, I guess Knight, my guy Bateman. I think it's funny. When I think of Bateman, I think of an Adam Thielen type player. He might not. It's always weird when you comp a black player to a white player, but I feel like he just reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen. I don't know if he'll run. Adam Thielen runs a lot faster than he plays slower than his 40 time indicates. And I feel like Bateman plays a little bit faster than his 40 time indicates. I think Bateman's going to be a 4-5 guy. We know Thielen is a 4-4 guy. I think Bateman's going to be very similar to Adam Thielen in the way he plays. So I love that pick for Mung. I was hoping that he'd fall to me, but he didn't. So now I'm trading down.
So you're saying he's scrappy, right?
What's that?
So you're saying Bateman is scrappy.
He's scrappy. Yeah, he's scrappy. Here's the thing with Bateman. There is nothing he does poorly. The only thing that you can say with Bateman is, does he have the long speed to dominate in the NFL like you need to be as a wide receiver one? Something that Jamar Chase does really well, despite him probably being a high 4-4, low 4-5 guy. But Bateman's really good in 50-50 situations. I think that everybody's overlooking Rashad Bateman. You can look at every single prospect and you can highlight a con to their game or some sort of downside to their game or some sort of red flag. With Jamar Chase, he's pretty safe as well in terms of there's really nothing that stands out that he does poorly. His release off the line isn't as good as people make it out to be, or at least we're overlooking. He wins deep a lot more than he does in any other part of the field. He's just, if you watch a majority of his highlights, majority of his touchdowns, majority of his production is over the top. Where Bateman is not that type of player. He's a guy that wins all over the field. So I think Bateman, I struggle to find a red flag with Bateman outside of just him not playing this year all that much. So I think he only played how many games did he play, Mung? Do you remember?
No, not off the top of my head.
But regardless, I think Bateman is, God, I just love his game. So yeah, that would have been my pick. So I'm trading down here.
Trading out of the spot.
Hey, Izzy, not to get too sidetracked, but talking about Minnesota, what do you think about Tyler Johnson?
He was a guy that I picked up in a lot of. I was very anti Tyler Johnson when he was being mocked in the first round of rookie drafts. And then as we got closer and closer to the actual NFL draft, and then when he didn't get invited to the Senior Bowl, and then he started losing a lot of steam in the January to April window. And then the NFL draft rolled around and he just started plummeting. And that's when I picked him up. His decline in the rookie drafts from where he was mocked to where he ended up going was very similar to Calvin Harmon in 2019. Just a guy that everybody had in the top 6, top 7, and then started to lose steam and then completely fell out of the top 2 rounds. But I think Tyler Johnson is a great buy. And the reason why he's a great buy is name recognition. People remember Tyler Johnson being a first round, type player come rookie drafts. So if he pops off, it's not like he's popping off and his name is, who's a guy that
Arcega Whiteside.
Even Arcega Whiteside was, but now he's like a couple years removed. But Tyler Johnson's name recognition still gives us, a little bit more of, okay, he's legitimate because we remember him being legitimate. So I think he's a really smart, safe buy because he doesn't cost anything and his upside's great. And I think he's a really good football player. And I think Bateman's significantly better than Tyler Johnson, in my opinion. But I thought they were both great players at Minnesota. Tyler Johnson is not my pick here. However, and I'm really torn, man. There's a lot of options that I think they're just so similar. You can go Debo here. I think Campbell is actually a really sneaky pick for a couple of reasons that that Mung mentioned. Paris Campbell actually had a really good start before getting hurt. He kind of showed the glimpses of, okay, he could be legitimate. I think Denzel Mims potentially with a new quarterback could be nice, or at least a new offense. I think Sam Darnold's pretty underrated. I think he kind of got a bad situation there. But I guess my number one buy is Gabe Davis, so I kind of want to take him here, but I feel like it's too early. It comes down to Visca or Gabe Davis because I like Visca with the hype that he's going to get with Trevor Lawrence. But if I'm taking one player and their production, I really think Gabe Davis is legitimate. He lined up all over the field last year as a rookie. He was behind. Even when John Brown and Cole Beasley was healthy, he was still finding a 50% snap share in that offense. So I love the way that they utilized Gabe Davis. I love the way that he played as a rookie, considering that we viewed him only as a deep threat, and he did a lot more than that in his rookie season, being tied to Josh Allen and the fact that Stephon Diggs is going to take a lot of the coverage next year. I think Dave Davis is prime for a breakout next year, so I'll slot him in at 16 here.
I love that. Izzy, thank you so much for doing both these episodes with us. We really appreciate it. The one thing I'm going to dive more into Rashad Bateman. We had Matt Hicks on. He was bringing in some guys that we were just totally enamored with about what he was talking about and some deeper dives. Aside from Bateman, do you have a guy, I'm asking all of our guests that they're coming on, during rookie season, who could go in that third round, late second, early third round, maybe even later, that could be like this year's Antonio Gibson or the next, guy that we're not expecting that could really pop off?
Yeah, I haven't dug into the entire landscape yet. So I've only gotten through about 6 wide receivers and 4 running backs. I kind of start at the top and move down. So I haven't gotten to the point where I'm saying like, this is my guy and I'm going to get him a lot in the third round. So I'm not there yet. I usually try to get there by end of February. I try to be as extensive as possible with every player. I like going through one player at a time and just being done with one player at a time. I don't like jumping. So it'll take me a while to get to that third round. So it'll be a while. So I can't give you an answer right now on who that guy would be for me.
No, I like that. I respect that. And, taking your time and doing it, obviously that he's all about just those rookies. So taking them and breaking them down each year. I mean, that's fantastic. So
who did Hicks say?
Oh geez. I actually have to go back and John, do you remember who it was?
Yeah, he was, the guy that we haven't touched on yet that he was big on was Terrace Marshall.
No, but he had a deep dive guy that we were like,
yeah.
I gotta go back and listen to
it was Jadeveon Hawkins at running back was the deep running back sleeper that he threw out there. He was really big on Jadeveon Hawkins.
Yeah, not a bad one.
Thanks again, Izzy. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? And
yeah, at DTC_Izzy E. You can find me at the podcast at dynastytradecalculator.com, and the podcast is called the Dynasty Trade Calculator Podcast. The most unoriginal shit you ever heard in your life, but it's easy.
Mung, how about you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at FFA_Mung. That's MENG. And just real quick, I'll echo the Davis love. And a guy that we didn't really talk about is Darnell Mooney, who I'm pretty high on too. So just keep him in mind this offseason.
Yeah, and hey, again, everyone, John at Dynasty_Trades. Izzy, thanks so much. I'm taking notes over here. In all seriousness, a lot of great insights on both pods. I'll definitely be following your pod as well. And then I'll throw out one more that I did write an article on today with Rondale Moore. I definitely would encourage you guys to go watch some film on him and do the research there. He's been a little bit out of sight, out of mind because of some injuries, but incredible prospect, incredible athlete. And I think that he could really pop and be an exciting NFL wide receiver for years to come. So check him out.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. My name is Mike. You can find me on Twitter, Dynasty_DadFF. And just keep tuning in and refine those rosters. Enjoy the process.